Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are kicking off another Technicals with Tim, and we've got to look at Bitcoin because I see trouble in the charts that we have to reconcile. There's a huge problem with the candles and resistance. We came up to resistance, and on this page, I'm always pressing the point that we want to trade resistance and support. But we know what's going to happen when it gets to a resistance or a support line based on the type of candle that we get shown. And the candles that Bitcoin are showing us right now are absolutely terrible. Now, if we take a step back and we look at the macro environment, we know that the S&P 500 hit an all-time high, predicted months back on this page that we would get to 5,500 on the S&P 500. And then, of course, we had also predicted that NVIDIA would get to a max price of $140. In the same week, we hit both of those numbers. Bitcoin at the time was up a little higher, and it collapsed, right? NVIDIA just fell. People getting in at the top, retailers imagining they were getting in on one of the fastest growth companies in the world, saw their investments begin to slowly fade away. Now we've come down, and yesterday in the Discord, the Stocks with Josh Discord, we were in an NVIDIA play going into today, and it had an incredible return. We had a great big bounce. It went up. The runners that I held were up 140%. It wasn't the only win in the Stocks with Josh Discord today. We had a beautiful, beautiful call on Tesla. We were trying to pick the very bottom, and I did a very good job identifying where that bottom would be, but when you get down there, it's kind of sketchy. You don't know whether when you're skimming along the bottom, whether it's going to fall out and capitulate or whether it's going to build momentum and begin to rocket ship back up. So we got out of it at one point, and then we got right back into it, and it had incredible run up after that, another plus 60%. Guys, if you're making money in the Discord right now, the Stocks with Josh Discord, and you're enjoying it, go ahead and drop a heart in the comment section and let me know what kind of money you were making today. All right, I'm going to bring my man Tim on here. Let's welcome him on board today.
What's going on, everybody?
How are you doing? All right,
good.
I'm not seeing any comments roll in, Tim, so I'm not sure if this is unlisted.
Are we unlisted again?
I don't know. Let me quickly.
I'm on your page. I don't know if I see it.
If we are there, guys, throw in a hello at the moment. Let's see. Unlisted. All right, let's go public. Publish. All right, let's see how that works out. Welcome to the show. Everybody out there, how are you guys doing today? Hello. Now, I don't know, Tim, do people then begin to see it at the point that you unlisted, or do they see it from the beginning?
I'm pretty sure since we're live, they're jumping
there we go.
Right now. But anybody who comes back later is going to start off at the very beginning. They'll hear all that. I think about probably 2 minutes of I don't think any deep analysis, just kind of nice intro. People get to see back in the beginning.
All right, well, I'm just going to recap. Bitcoin is in trouble because it's got the ugliest monthly candles you've ever seen, especially on the highest time frame you go. Now, today, the meat of this show is going to be for Tim and I to reconcile that. We're going to have to wrestle it out and figure out whether this thing is prepared to go higher or whether we are just on the edge of a capitulation moment. Put that to the side for a minute. We had a great day in the Discord. We carried some NVIDIA calls over to today, and those were up 140%. And we got in perfectly on a Tesla call, near perfectly. Our call options that we were buying, we wanted to get them at $1.25. It came down to $1.24. Came back up to like $1.30. Took some precaution, raised the stop loss, got taken out, waited a few more minutes, got back in, and then it was rocket ships on Tesla. Now, another great play in the Discord. Guys, if you don't know what the Discord is, it's the Stocks with Josh Discord. I'm going to leave a link in the top pinned comment, and we're making trades over there every day. Slowly rolling out. Tons of people have been coming in. I'm going to be doing some swing trades on just stock in addition. Right now, I've been doing some options this week, a couple swing trades today. One of my crowned traders had an excellent call on on Carvana and called it as a buy and gave the exact price he was entering this yesterday. It hit that target today, cashed out a big win. I'm not the only one over there bringing the alpha. And now today, Tim, after this meeting, later on, I'm going to be doing a video with Mark, and we're going to be giving an update on Hamster Combat. To answer questions for you guys. That's going to be in the Discord only. It's going to be a private video. I'm not going to be publishing it on YouTube. Tim, have you ever heard anything about Hamster Combat?
I haven't, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, I'm not actually doing it, but I introduced it to the community because, if you're going to participate in crypto largely is like, it's the social movement. I mean, there obviously is a ton of technology, but a lot of it hasn't been proven. And so what's happening is large amounts of money is flowing into these projects, and then often in the wintertime flowing out, which is one of the reasons why people have to understand the cycles of crypto and not get stuck buying at the top and then watching this 4-year window play out where they don't realize they were at the top and they're actually at the beginning of the decline phase. One of the longest seasons in the crypto cycle is the winter, and that's when the price largely has hit rock bottom and gone sideways. That season, this last time, lasted around 420 days. Now, I'm going to make a point. We're just having a dialogue here, Tim, on this. So
Okay.
I've been noticing, looking at the exact length of the bottom to where we come up out of the winter, and the exact length of the decline phase, and the exact length of the markup phase. And interestingly, Tim, did you know that the winter has actually been getting longer and longer and longer in Bitcoin? So one of the first ones was around 360 days. The next one was around 390 days. The third one was around 411 days. And I believe the last one was around 430 days. Now, don't quote me on that. I might have my days. That's from rough memory. But the winters are getting longer. And we just experienced a major shift in Bitcoin where the markup phase came way faster and sooner. Now, some would argue, obviously, we got the spot ETF, and that does make sense. But we are getting a faster run-up, and we're getting a longer winter. And so these cycles, even though they're extremely consistent, they have been changing in time frame. And obviously, we know that we're on an accelerated time frame right now. And maybe that might explain a little bit of why these candles look so ugly. But before I get into the Bitcoin chart, Tim, go ahead and say hi and let me know, what do you think about the crypto cycles and where we're at in it right now?
Yeah. First of all, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be back here on the channel. As far as my thoughts of where we currently are, I know you introduced it here with some speculation on what's the next move for Bitcoin. I will be the first to say there's nothing at the moment that can make me say what I'm about to say is 100% certainty. I always got to preface that. However, I am leaning, and I'll show you guys here in a couple of minutes, I'm leaning towards the bullish perspective for Bitcoin. I think if you look at what Josh referenced, the 4-year cycle and similar movements in time periods, I think that we're sitting at a spot that historically has had the last great question mark of, are we really going to have a really bullish move here? Let's pull back a little bit, scare out some shorter term investors, and then boom, it's off to the races in the next couple of weeks, and we could see price get pretty explosive. Now, again, that's just historically how Bitcoin's operated. There's nothing that says that's 100%. And we're sitting in a zone right now. If anyone has been following the markets, yesterday was a scary day in crypto. People were asking, what the heck is going on? Today, we've seen a little bit bounce up. The question, of course, is it a dead cat bounce, meaning we're just kind of making it back up to a lower high, and then we're going to keep going down lower? Or did we see some things happen yesterday that actually mark at least short-term bottom price action? I'm going to show you guys some evidence to say we could see that be the short-term bottom price action. And in fact, when I say short-term, there's a outside chance that might have been the lowest pullback. We're never going to see 60,000 or lower ever again in Bitcoin's history.
All right, I want to play the antagonist because I'm with you. I'm with you as long as we define the time frame that we're talking about. So I'm going to jump us into the Bitcoin chart, and I'm going to tell you on one side the bull case, and then I'm going to tell you on the other side the bear case, and it's going to be on two different time frames of the chart. So let's get into that. Okay, so right now, Tim, this is the 2-month candle. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm an OG trader and I have learned to respect the candles. And we've got, what do we have here? We have a trend line, 60K. Tim, would you agree that that is a pretty well-established trend line for Bitcoin?
Looks really good. Yes.
Every time we hit it here, we got rejected. We hit it here, we got rejected. We crossed over here, but we failed. We crossed over here, we got failed. So we would say that 60K is a very significant trend line. And what we do as traders, as technical traders, is we're trained to look at candles at trend lines. And if we're looking at the highest time frame possible, not the highest time frame possible, we're at the 2-month, which is a higher time frame. These are horrible wicked candles telling us that there is a problem, a storm brewing. All right, but let's fade out of the longer time frame for a minute. And then, Tim, I'm going to throw it on you to answer if you do think that we've got an answer for these candles, in what time frame would you imagine that we might have to answer for them? But I'll tell you something, guys, right now. We're going to have to answer for these candles. All right, let's go back and shift down from 2-month to 1 month. And then we get a slightly different story. Now, I'm going to tell you what I see here. I see something that I kind of actually like on the 2-month window. And we talk a lot about it. It's these descending parallel channels. And if we look at it, just like Tim said a moment ago, let me get this bad boy lined up. Okay, if we look at it, this is clearly a descending bullish candle. And here's what's important about these. I want to get the actual, let me get an actual, when we're ever in the top half of these types of channels, after we've made a couple touches on the top and the bottom, and lo and behold, we got 2 touches on the bottom, 2 or 3 touches on the top. We're in the top half. We wicked slightly below 60K. We came back into the top half. Technically, on a monthly time frame, this is where we'd be looking, and this is where Josh would be drawing rocket ships above the channel to say that if we actually get above this channel, we open and close a candle above this channel, then we could really go higher from here. So all of a sudden, when we're looking at that big window, Bitcoin's giving us a really scary setup. Now we go to the monthly, and it's not so scary. It's not a confirmation of a buy, but it's if you want to take risk here, it would make some sense. We could come back and test the top of this channel again, and that would bring us up to around 67, 68K, which we've actually had as resistance, a ton of times here. If we got back up to the top of this channel at 68K, that would give us the 3rd time that we've failed to close a monthly candle above 68. And so this would be sort of the do or die moment. All right, so let's go down a little bit lower. Let's go from the monthly. Let's go down. I'm going to shift it down to like a 2-day window. And this is where we get something interesting I pointed out to you guys before. Let me draw it up and set it up, and then we're going to give Tim some time here. We have, you guys know it, we've got this. I called it in one of our Technical Tuesdays with Tim. I actually said, guys, we have the potential for an inverse bullish head and shoulder pattern to form the second shoulder if we came down and got to 60K, which we did. And now we could potentially, on the daily time frame, expect to move back up to that 68. And which I'm kind of leaning there, but I guess I shouldn't reveal that too soon. Our neckline is really right around 68, but it's only when we get above that neckline do we get potentially that explosive move that pulls us up potentially to 100K Bitcoin. All right, so let me pull Tim back up. Tim, in my scenario, from higher time frame, most bearish. Middle time frame, it's a little bit more interesting, but we're not out of the woods. Daily time frame looking kind of promising. What are your thoughts at the moment? Because we have been making predictions on this Technical Tuesday every single week. It's been fulfilled by the following Tuesday. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. If people just go back and listen to some of the calls we have had in our shorter term ones, I think there's some longer term predictions. We're going to have to wait like an entire year to see who's right. Sure. We have some differences about long term. But when you and I get on here and talk about short term, meaning the next week or so, we've been pretty much in unison. and B, pretty darn stinking accurate with our calls. So go back and look at that. Maybe we've been wrong. If we've been wrong, let us know. It happens from time to time. But it's pretty funny how often we've been right. So I'll tell you this. I rarely, if ever, even go as high as the monthly candles. So the fact that we went to the 2 monthly, I don't know if I'm going to say I probably have at some point in my history of TA looked at a 2 monthly chart for Bitcoin, but it's been a long time. One of the things I will say about the candles I saw on the 2 month, my only potential counterpoint to those candles is those are what we would call indecision candles that can bring a reversal or can simply communicate this is a pausing in the market. Like if I was looking at on a lower time frame, I would say, all right, we need to stop and look at what the next movement is based off of what the other indicators are saying on the charts, based off of where the sentiment of the coin or the asset is at. This is a time where we could have topped out, or it's a nice pausing zone before moving forward. And then when you go to lower time frame, the monthly chart, I agree with you. I actually hadn't looked at it that way, but I would agree with you. There's sides we start getting towards the monthly chart and lower that give us a shorter term, more bullish scenario in play. What I want to start with people today is on the weekly chart, because you got us all the way down to about the 2 daily. I want to show you guys what I'm seeing on the daily chart. The first thing, and I brought this up last week, was that I told you guys I thought that 61 was in play because of this rising level of support that could be, we talked about a couple different bullish formations on here, but it could end up becoming a ascending triangle formation. These traditionally are bullish. I did say yesterday when we lost this level, I actually had this drawn a couple of days ago for my community. I said, hey, there's a chance based off of liquidation levels, and I use high block for liquidation levels. There's a chance there's a lot of bright yellow, which marks long positions that could be liquidated all the way down here, closer towards 58.5, give or take. So I made a zone that said, hey guys, there's an interesting spot. If we lose this green rising support line, we could make it down to that zone. We ended up kissing it almost perfectly. And I told my audience yesterday, here's what we're going to look back in the future. We're going to look back at this time period, and we're going to have to ask ourselves a question, because we definitely dropped below the green line. But I told them, if we can close today's candle up back above this green line and we continue to move to the upside here in a couple of weeks, a couple of months, let's say price action does something like this and moves to the upside, we will look back at this candle and the things that happened and say, oh, you remember that bear trap that happened back on June 24th? I'll explain what I mean by that more here in a minute. But the same way, it's easy to look back here and say, oh, May 1st, 2024, yeah, that was a bear trap. Look what happened. Dramatic pull down, big bearish candles. We hit the bottom, and then we were to go to shoot back up to 72K. It's really easy in hindsight to say, yeah, that was a bear trap. Wow, those poor bears, they thought we were going much, much lower. We're not ready yet to call it this way for certain, but I think there's a lot of signs that look very enticing about this potentially being another bear trap similar to what we had back here in May. And to show you some of this, I got to go to the 4-hour charts. We got to go even lower. And I want to show you, using the volume indicators, 2 reasons why this is a very intriguing looking level for a potential bear trap. The first one is you're going to see this spike in volume match that bottom candle perfectly. There's 2 things. I know Josh has talked about this as well, but there's 2 different things that volume communicates. The first one, probably the most predominant communication of exceeding volume, is reversals. So whether the price is moving to the downside or the upside, sometimes you see high volume come in, marking that it's going. In this case, heavy bearish pressure, spike in volume. The bearish pressure switched into bullish pressure. There's a changing of the guard. But I'm seeing today more volume here on the 4-hour chart come in, communicating something different. That can communicate different levels of reversals, but volume can also communicate bullish or bearish momentum. And in this case, we're going to have to continue to wait and see how this plays out. But with a lot of positive momentum, this volume came in here at 2 candles ago on the 4-hour chart. Let me zoom in here a little bit more. Not marking a top, but actually marking bullish buying pressure to get back up above a resistance level. So let's get this a couple more candles. Good.
Well, go ahead. Wrap that. Let's not get too deep. I know people are enjoying it, but go ahead, Tim.
Well, my last point here is just we saw heavy volume come in at the bottom, and now as we're wrestling with a level of resistance and working to break through it, we have more volume coming in. We hit a significant level of resistance. If you go back out to the daily chart, I believe, and you're looking at LUXALGO indicators, we came down and wicked into the middle of our take profit short position, but also are defending this order block, a very bullish order block, staunchly. A wick down below, yes, but look at where candles closed, right at the bottom of this daily order block that has a lot of strong buying pressure. This is continuing to defend it. I think their next micro move, if the bulls do take over, don't be surprised to see a run up all the way back up towards 67,000, where we have a bearish breaker block, where we do have a smart trail as well. But I'm seeing a lot of signs pointing towards yesterday could have been the last move of a bear trap that could send Bitcoin price back up to the upside.
I agree with Tim's technicals, and I appreciate you, Tim, bringing up the Lux. I actually do think that the bulls will defend that block, and I do believe that we're going to basically come out with an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and the real battle is a couple weeks away when we get, maybe not even that long, maybe we'll be talking about it next Tuesday, but it's going to be around the corner, and it's going to be at that 68K, because you remember, that's really where I drew my neckline. And so what did you have on the block there? You had the pink color that you put on there to show that it's actually a pretty significant block. And so that neckline, the reason why that block is pink, it's because the LUXALGO is picking up with what I'm telling you, which is a neckline that's been hit, would be a total of 6 times. By the time we get back there, it'll be the 6th time. And normally, you know, at that point, we're either going to find a lot of conviction to break through it, or this market's going to say no. And we've seen head and shoulders turn out not to be bearish because they never get confirmed. And we can also see inverse head and shoulder turn out to be not bullish if they never get confirmed. All right, I want to take a step back because you have limited time, guys. This isn't going to be as long of a video with Tim today because he's got a hard exit here around the corner. Let me turn off my Discord so it won't be beeping at you guys. I want to take a step back, Tim. Let's talk about the macro environment that we're in so we can fit Bitcoin into that. We want to keep a big picture view. Obviously, as I started the intro of the show off, that S&P 500, 5,500, NVIDIA, 140. NVIDIA's been doing the heavy lifting. If you guys haven't noticed, if NVIDIA's going down, big tech's going down, the market's going down. If NVIDIA's going up, big tech starts turning around, the market starts going up. It's just been that simple. I'm not saying it'll always be that way, but it's that way this summer. And we saw NVIDIA have a really hard push down. I think we're definitely going to go back up on NVIDIA. I'm going to throw up that chart in a minute. But the big question is this. Is the bullishness, are we getting back to 140 on NVIDIA? And can we get back up to 5,500 right now? Or does the market need to go sideways and digest the massive run-up it's already had? I'll tell you guys, I don't believe that there's any major capitulation coming in 2024. It is an election year, and there's a ton of reasons why the market can rally through this year. And you know what would be normal for a 10% correction by now, it's normally something happens in a year and a half, and we hit an all-time high. We hit the high that Goldman Sachs and other analysts said the market would hit, and it would be very realistic for a 10% correction over the course of the summer to digest. I don't even know if we're going to get that, but I would say don't discount it. But I'm going to share a quick news story, Tim, and I'll get your reaction to it. A Wall Street strategist, let me see if I can throw this up. There's his picture, Mr. Lee. A Wall Street strategist who nailed the 2023 stock rally sees the S&P 500 soaring more than 170% to 15,000 by the end of this decade. Now that's, you know, we talked about Bitcoin and we were looking at 2-month candles, taking a very, very long view. This guy's, now that sounds crazy. He's saying that we're going to get up to 15,000. But take into consideration that he's talking about the decade we're in. And I can tell you right now what the underlining idea here is, that innovation, blockchain, artificial intelligence is so significantly going to improve our productivity in every area of our lives. And I think that people are using metrics like the birth of the internet and which was an incredible innovation, right? But it took the world a lot of time to get used to that. And I actually think that blockchain and AI are going to come way faster than anybody's expecting. And I do think that it's going to be really hard for this trifecta to get too beat down. And what is the trifecta I'm talking about? A government that's lost all restraint for printing money. Okay, we have a government that they love the word stimulus. They want to stimulate the economy. If you guys get broke, if the banks run out of money, that's okay. They'll give some more out. And all traditional restraint has been thrown out the window. It's been thrown overboard. And we are in a time in which I don't even know who's in charge of this company, but I'll tell you, if we begin to face even the slightest headwind, even the slightest economic headwind, and they begin to print. And so in that environment, we're simultaneously innovation like blockchain, which is actually government changing, and artificial intelligence, which is going to know us and define us as consumers like never before. How in that environment can the markets absolutely crash and have the mother of all recessions? I'm finding it hard, very, very hard to see. Now, when we put that together, okay, now here's where I'm dropping it on you. That's a very bullish case. Mr. Lee is saying 15,000 on the S&P 500. Very, very bullish. Not this year, but all the way to 2030. When you look at all of that, is that an environment where Bitcoin can get to 100K?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so I'll tell you this, by my years of technicals, Tim, we are going to have to account for those big 2-month candles. We are. And I can tell you, let me pull up that chart one more time. I want to see if I can convince Tim of this, because I don't know that I've sold him on the 2-month candle chart yet. He's like, I don't know about that, Josh. I don't know about that. Let me make one more. I'm going to throw up another indicator, because this is sort of a classic way of doing technicals. Let me see. Where you put up a high time frame, but you put up a very low moving average, the 5 EMA. So just be patient with me, guys. This stuff, I try to make the technicals easy. I literally am throwing up emojis on my charts. I'm not being, I'm not trying to make it hard for you guys. Okay, so we have on this chart illustrated the 5 EMA. And you can see the last time we came out of the winter back in 2020 and we were riding on top of the 5 EMA, we eventually got too far away from it. It looks like one was a breakthrough candle, one was a barely touched candle, one was a rocket ship. And when we got on the 2-month candle, we got pretty far away from it. You can see that by the 4th month, it was time to come home. And that's what moving averages do for us. Moving averages are basically a point in the price in which the price has to come back to. And it came back to that, and that was that big 50% discount that we got on Bitcoin between the two peaks, right? Between the two big double tops of 2021. All right, now we've got something a little different in shape, but we have that same 5 EMA, same 2-month candle. We're touching it here. We actually got really far away from it before, and we are slowly moving our way back to that 5 EMA. And largely, I'm going to agree with Tim that at the moment, I do expect us to continue to move sideways, and eventually we're going to touch that 5 EMA, and that's going to be the decision point of whether we take off like a rocket ship to what I'm predicting the Bitcoin high could be 177K, or we watch that point and see if it's a point of failure. Tim, any more insights on my higher time frame, lower EMA?
Yeah, I think it's something to definitely watch. We have 5 days left in this candle for that monthly, for the 2 monthly. I think,
just so you know, the 5 days left will complete that 2-month candle.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's one of those, like I said in the beginning, I don't do a lot of 2-month analysis. So I'm very open to being wrong here. It's one of those things that when I look at that monthly candle, I like what I see, and I think you pointed that out as well. When I look at the lower time frames, I like it as well. Something I'll also acknowledge is on that 2-month candles. I'm looking at it from LUXALGO's perspective. There is some reason for that resistance right there being a 2-month candle. If you show my screen, I'll be very brief here. We have that bearish smart trail right in there, but recently, as we got into the smart trail, we printed a buy signal on the 2-month chart. So, while this is resistance, and it makes sense it's resistance, it's a pretty strong smart trail. I'm watching this and I'm saying it is an issue of where can we close? Can we make a move in this one, rally up above, get back up above 67 and close the month up there, or the next 2-month candle? Can we make a break here? I think there's just a lot to take into consideration. And I think, Josh, you're on the same page with me here as well. We don't make a lot of our decisions based off of one indicator. We try to take as much information and decision making as possible to make the highest probability decision. Still have a couple of days left here before I am necessarily too worried about the 2-monthly candle, but I'm open to that concept and saying, hey, that's not a good thing. Let's not add that to the category of being bullish. This is a reason for cautious optimism at best right now.
Well, I think the way that I could frame the finality of the Bitcoin conversation is this. Both Tim and I view us in the short term as potentially having the opportunity to go back to that 68K. I'm calling it the neckline. I'm also saying that the monthly chart looks pretty good. And if we take the previous all-time high between 64 and 69, and we add it to all of the months that we've been consolidating around 68, when we finally do break out of that and we open and close a candle above it, it's going to be the strongest confirmation of a bull run for Bitcoin that's yet to be made in crypto. And when you marry it to what I said a moment ago about the macro environment of a government that loves to print and put in jeopardy the US dollar, as well as a innovation and AI driven economy that we're going to be in for the next 5 years, yes, that is the grounds in which Bitcoin could have an incredible run. And so I would say what's exciting to me, Tim, is that we're very, very close. We are literally weeks away to seeing the finality of that move from a technical perspective. And so this is perhaps one of the most exciting moments in crypto right now. And if we get rejected at the 68K, then we don't freak out, but we are still in that sideways moving pattern. And I said it in our last video where I said Bitcoin is high and steady. And until we begin to open some candles and close some candles beneath 60K, there's absolutely nothing to freak out about. And that takes us over to the alts, which are down. Many of them are down on the floor. Solana is looking attractive. I have not been buying many of the legacy coins, but I got a little secret, Tim. I dropped a big bag on Solana the other day because it just was talking to me. I popped open the chart and I was like, well, look at you all down there in the gutter, little buddy. I reached in and I bought me some and took it home, and I'm gonna nurse it back to health. I'm going to take it back up to 300. That's what I'm hoping to do. Have you made any purchases? And we're going to do a lightning round here in a few seconds. Have you made any big crypto purchases amongst the alts recently?
I actually, in the live show for my channel right before this, and these aren't like the best 5. I'm sure other people could find others, but these are 5 coins I believe in long term that, like you said, like these charts recently just hit price levels that were just, it was like walking into a grocery store and seeing your favorite cereal on 75% off. And you're like, I gotta get this cereal. I mean, it's my favorite one.
You might even get 2 boxes. Huh?
Yeah. And Solana was one of them. Solana was one of the ones that I saw. If you go to my chart here, one of the things I was watching, and I told my audience, look at this zone here. Just explosive bull market so far for Solana, right? When you look at it like this, the pullback we've seen here recently doesn't look dramatic at all, despite the fact that within the last month, we saw Solana have a pullback of roughly 35%. Pretty juicy. It's closer to 50% when you go to the top of the bull run so far. But I told my audience, if we get back in this box somewhere around 124, I'm buying more Solana.
That's a double bottom. That's a nice double bottom, wouldn't you say, Tim?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can make an argument it's a triple bottom. I mean, we love just defending that zone very, very nicely. One that didn't necessarily have a huge pullback, but has some big news that they're continuing to work on and bringing some more projects in their ecosystem is Caspa. So even though it's not a major pullback, I purchased some Caspa here a couple of days ago. on its pullback here, back down towards 14 cents. I purchased Ondo. I loved Ondo. I saw this one. I said, all right, got to get me some more Ondo. I told everyone, look for that dollar to come into play. We got there. I said there's an outside chance. I told people a week ago, outside chance to closer to 83. But when I saw this big pullback back down to $1, had to purchase some more of that. That one's looking out to be very good as well. Some people are going to not like this one, but I'm a believer long-term in Cardano. Saw the opportunity to buy 36 cents. Had to take some more Cardano. That was a good one. And then my final one here, Stacks. Stacks was another one. Just seeing it back down here at 150, 156, give or take. I had to buy some more of that. It was back on the level of support. A significant level of former like resistance area back here in December, January. So a lot of good reasons I took that one as well. There's so many other altcoins that are performing well as well, but Caspa, Ondo, Solana, Cardano, and Stacks definitely got added to my bag here over the last 48 hours.
That was awesome. You actually just gave everybody a micro lightning round. I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to mix it up with some stocks and crypto, and we are going to come back for one of the requests. So when I come back to you, Tim, would you put up a chart for Whiff? So I'm going to quickly take people into, and I'm going to do my own little lightning round here. First of all, I do like that sea of green that we're enjoying today. Let's just quickly talk about Bitcoin, guys. I'm going to keep this so freaking simple. You can see that we got a buy alert. Here's the Watson envelope. I'm looking at the daily time frame. We've got a confirmation of a buy here on a number of other indicators. The other orange line that you're seeing there is actually the 20 EMA. And whenever you open and close a candle above the 20 EMA, that is a buy signal. And you can see that we've been above that 20 EMA for a long time. And the last time it printed a buy signal was way back here on NVIDIA. And that would have been a fabulous place to have bought. And so I'm not scared of NVIDIA right now. I want to ride it up. We're still in a place where there's not a lot of volume. There's not a lot of buyers and sellers up in this area, right? We don't have a lot of bag holders on NVIDIA. And so it doesn't take a lot to move the stock price up higher. Now, I'm going to give a very, very simple target for you guys of what I'm sort of looking at. It's around 132. And so this is where I would get a little bit more cautious. And this is where I would begin to stop playing calls to the upside. Not to say we couldn't have a breakout move, but the easy money, guys, the easy money on NVIDIA has been right here. All right, so let me just keep blasting through this. I want to just shout out my man, Major Pelosi. He's one of my crown traders in the Stocks with Josh Discord. And on Monday, and this guy is an absolute professional. He gave a ton of information on this trade. This is for people who are looking to swing trade stocks, not options. That's being done in the Stocks with Josh Discord. And he identified support, identified a breakout price of 126, gave the target of 129. The very next day, we hit that perfectly. Very easy way to make some money. I want to talk here about the SPY briefly, and this is going to be so helpful for you guys. I want to just point out something very, very interesting, and we've talked about it before, but it's worth repeating so that you guys can learn it for yourself. Descending channel, right? Let's keep creating these. We got another descending channel there, another descending channel on structure there. These were all the clues that was telling me the S&P 500 was going higher. This is the SPY right now. I identified and showed you guys this in the chart when it happened. What's that? That's a change of character. We went from having descending, bullish, descending, descending, descending to ascending. And what happened? We broke down. Okay, well, let's get some clues here. Oh my gosh, what's that? Another ascending bearish channel. And what happened? We broke down. Okay, what do we have right now? Look at that, another ascending channel. So what are we more likely to do right now? Well, unfortunately with the SPY, we're more likely to break down. I wanted you guys to see that. There's no crystal ball. There's room up here to back test as high as 546 easily. But be aware that we've had a change of character. And keep an eye on those channels because they tell a very simple story about Wall Street. I'm going to blow through some stocks here real quick. SoFi, because I know the family loves it. We actually have something positive here. We've got a little bit of a bullish descending channel, but we have to get above 660 for it to be validated. So these channels work when they break above resistance. Resistance right now is 660. I nailed perfectly the buy spot at 620. I told everybody that 620 was do or die. If we were beneath 620, it's a $5 stock. As long as we stay above 620 and bounce, which we did, then there's momentum to the upside. I actually think that SoFi is continuing to be in a bullish stance, but it's not confirmed until it gets above 660. Let's talk briefly about Disney. I'm just going to take a minute and show you guys this horrible and ugly bearish candle. We're on the 4-hour time frame. Let me just jump over to the daily time frame, and it doesn't get much better. And so there's a little bit of concern here on Disney. This is the main point I want to make here. In the Stocks with Josh Discord, I told everybody that the price that mattered was $2.50. Let me put it in there for you guys. So I want everybody to know and to count it, because I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna talk about it. You guys know how I do it. First of all, we've got rejection when we tried to get above 250 yesterday. We've got rejection again at 250. Now, if we do open and close some candles above, it's not 250, guys. It's 102.50. You know what I'm talking about. If we do open and close some candles above 102.50, then we perhaps have seen a local bottom, and we can go back and test we can test the high. Where would the high be? It's going to be back at 112. Just for perspective, that's where we would go back to test. And if we can close some candles above $102, I would say that it's very likely that we would get back up and test 112. At the moment, we're totally not out of the woods. I'm going to go back and pull up some channels here for you guys. These are descending channels that are breaking to the downside, and I'm sorry, these are ascending channels, clearly ascending channels here, guys. And what do ascending channels do? They continue to break to the downside. So we are so not out of the woods. I am leaning towards believing that I would take caution with this trade. The area where I'm going to get excited to buy this is $96 to $92. That's the bottom of a long-term move. Let me see what else. I want to cover Mara with you guys real quick. Now, Mara is interesting because we want to look at the Lux on that one. That one has some interesting up against some interesting resistance. There you go. This is where Tim, would be sharing some caution. So we're in an interesting precarious spot. We're above the descending bullish channel that this has been in, but we're up against some really significant resistance with this pink block here. Now, I'm going to just turn it over to Tim, and I'm going to let him give that deeper dive thought process on Lux. In my view, overall, the miners are positioned potentially for a breakout. Having said that, here's the problem. We've got two significant Lux resistance, one at 19 roughly, and the other one at 21. Let's bring Tim on and get your thoughts on the miners right now.
Yeah, so we've recently actually had in the last week or so, one of the reasons why, last 2 weeks, I'd say, there's minor capitulation in play, just some fear in the miner world. But I think as the price, again, we talked earlier about Bitcoin, I think price starts to go up. I think there's a good chance that we're going to start seeing it go to the upside here as well. When I'm looking at Mara, I see 4-hour chart's not very good. Let me go to the daily chart. It just doesn't tell me a lot. The reason why I don't like the 4-hour chart. I do see here more recently, we've been defending this order block here in play. Not a very good sell signal right here, as the day we sell was actually, we kind of rally back up right here. This is just a chart that's not giving me a lot of direction either way. I agree as a whole with Josh. This is I didn't grab that correctly. This is a descending channel that's going to more than likely be bullish eventually, but it's not necessarily screaming anything that we have to be buying right now. We do have an order block in play on the 4-hour chart. We're kind of a mixed bag here and there. We could fall back down to an order block at 1757. We could rally up to an order block. I think this is the better one up here at 24. If that does happen, that's very bullish. But you can see even this in this little channel right here, that's what we're kind of looking at. That's about the breakout prediction we would get if we were to break up right now. So just not a lot of movement right now in the short term for Mara, but it is one longer term as I zoom out. Look at that very bullish breaker block. We recently came in touch the weekly chart, smart trail, strong support. So when I think weekly, I'm looking at a massive move to the upside. When I come though and I look at the daily and I look at the 4 hour, it's hard to feel excited about it in the short term, but that long term, that's where I'm getting some feelings of, hey, the bulls are just kind of asleep right now at Mara. They will wake up and they will move to the upside in maybe a couple months.
I'm in complete agreement with you. The chart in the 4 hour time frame is not saying it's I'm ready, take me out of the oven, but we are
Yeah.
5-10 minutes away from eating cake on Mara. That longer time frame is looking very, very appealing. Do you want to just give everybody the Whiff token real quick? And before we do that, Tim, first of all, guys, this is Tim. He's over at Investing Bros. You want to subscribe to his channel. I love what he does, specifically with Lux. He's an expert at that. And I am presenting that tool here because people who don't know the technicals, it's going to be a journey. I've been on a 20-year journey to learn how to identify patterns and candles and oscillators. And it's very exciting because it never ends. It's just more and more interesting, the type of things you can discover. But for people who are starting off, you've got to make it simple on you. And that's why I played with the LUXALGO for 6 months before bringing it to the family to see whether or not it lined up with my experience in charting, and it did. Oftentimes I turn on the Lux, and it's just within pennies of where my own trend lines were. That's one of the reasons why I've got Tim here. So I'm going to leave a link for Lux in the top pin comment. And it's going to be 3 links. It's going to be Stocks with Josh Discord. Then it's going to be the LUXALGO suite where I'm going to be teaching that regularly here with Tim. And then the third link is actually one of the most important links. And that's Tim's link to go over there and subscribe to his page so that you can kind of follow some of these altcoins that we've been talking about today. Tim, let's wrap things up with an overview of Whiff. And I would love to go through more of these guys. You can get more charts and more technicals on the Stocks with Josh Discord, Chart Goat University, dropping some classes there here very soon, getting caught up, guys, with all of the admin stuff right now, and still simultaneously trying to keep my own bags of cash full by trading while feeding you guys alerts. So be a little patient with me, but we're definitely killing it over there. Tim, let's take us into the Whiff. Let me pull your.
Yeah, I'll start. Anyone who's here from my community is probably laughing right now because they know I am not a meme coin guy. I'm kind of anti-meme coin. I think this is a game of who's going to be the last one holding the bag. But I will show you some reasons from a technical standpoint that Whiff just hit a major level of support from a chart perspective. Let's start off. Before I even bring up LUXALGO, this is something I know you guys here with Stocks with Josh talk about a lot, and it's Fibonacci extension. And this is what I call the Fibonacci extension golden pocket. It's the 1.618, 1.65 in the micro timeline. When we had this pull down, again, we'd had a shelf here on Whiff around $2.22. Well, guess what? We lost that back here a couple of days ago around, June 16th. So now all of a sudden, when you're looking at moving into new category you haven't been in this time frame, that golden pocket extension, great place to look at, but I always like to find confluence. So that's one reason. I'm here on the daily chart. I turn on LUXALGO. Oh, look what else was at that exact spot. We had our take profit on the short that we had entered from LUXALGO. We'd lost a major level of support, turning it now into resistance. So keep an eye on that. But that's another reason why this move here that just happened was pretty good sign that the bottom is in. But the last one I referenced earlier, and I'm going to be brief, volume. Look once again, guys, look at what happened at the bottom position. Even though we were moving bearishly, big volume came in, marking a bottom opportunity. You see this on the previous candles, even every single time here, reversals came into play when we see spike in volume. So once again, we have a nice spike there. What I'll say, though, on that longer time frame, first of all, as I showed you, bearish breaker block with a falling level of a smart trail red cloud. I think we're looking at best case scenario, 262 is going to be a level that we can reach, but we're going to wrestle with.
Okay, what about the weekly time frame? So this is the daily time frame, Tim?
Yes, this is daily time frame. What I was going to say is, and we'll go look at the weekly here in a second, but if we beat this out, so if we beat above 264, that'll be a sign of very, very strong bullish pressure. You start to look up back towards all-time highs to be your levels to keep an eye on. On the weekly chart, again, you're not going to get a lot of information from LUXALGO because Whiff is not that old of a coin. But what you could start to maybe take a look at here is you start to have the question, all right, let's say we start to get into price discovery mode, And let's say this was the bottom. We're moving forward here. This was the bottom. We have price discovery mode. Well, from a chart perspective, let's once again take a look at the golden pocket of Fibonacci extension. That's coming in pretty much at $10 on the dot. Is that realistic? I come over here and I look at, let's see, it's rank number 46, I do believe. Let's take a look at the tokenomics real quickly. Coming in here around the total supply. It's at the total right there. What is that? Let's just kind of round it up because it could print more tokens. Let's just call it 1 billion. Is that a realistic target to have 1 billion tokens? If I type this out, give me just 1 second here, guys. Times 10. That would give us a $10 billion. I don't know why I did that. That's the dumbest math in the world. That's easy. $10 billion in market cap. Is that doable? Yes, it is. Am I a big believer in Whiff? No, I'm not necessarily long-term, but is it possible to get up there? It is. $10 billion, I do think, is doable. They currently have a market cap roughly at about $2 billion. So we're talking about a 5x in market cap, a 5x roughly in price action. That could be something on that weekly time frame, which again, weekly chart, meaning we're looking at the next couple of months. Could we see Whiff at $10 before the end of the year? Yes, we could.
Yeah, I think that was a very realistic account. Again, in the local time frame, being beneath that resistance block, it's a little bit ominous. What does that mean? It means the price will digest and chop up there, and it's not, the rockets aren't on yet with Whiff. But if I will say this, if you're going to play the memes and you're going to take risk on the memes, and if you're ever going to buy Whiff, it's probably in this price zone. It's not when we shoot above $2. That's not when you take risk, guys. You have to be willing to buy when nobody wants it, and that's when it becomes valuable. We did it today with Tesla, right? Tesla was in free fall. You know, we weren't in puts, but we were coming down to catch it at a specific point, and there became a huge payday because we were patient. And that's what you'd consider doing with Whiff. Now, we're going to talk about Micron by request by Guy. Little bit, he was a little bit complaining. He's like, come on, you guys are talking about Whiff, but you're not talking about legitimate companies. I will just remind you, this is largely a crypto show, but I also want to look at them because we do have we have earnings right ahead of us. So let's just go through this a little bit. Interesting. All right, let's just go through on the daily time frame first. Micron is right in that beautiful middle zone of our channel, of our Watson envelope. Where it closed today was bullish. We actually are back above structure. I would suggest that 140 is probably going to be a pretty critical line. In this scenario, there's room down. The next structure below is right around 133. If we get positive news with earnings here tomorrow, there is really not a lot of resistance here that wouldn't keep us from actually getting completely back to all-time highs. I would just say that it ended the day slightly giving a positive nod to earnings tomorrow. Obviously, it had gotten way overcooked when it ran up above 156, and so it made sense that it cooled off. And I will tell you that if for some reason earnings does not go well, you see that LUXALGO support is pretty far down here on the daily time frame at 124. And so the price range would be, let me just plug this in for you guys so you can screenshot it. Price range is going to be 124 on the low end to 157 based on how they actually do. We're sitting middle here at 140. And, you're not going to want to be in this thing after earnings. If it closes beneath 140, you should just accept the reality that it's got some room to come down. This is the daily time frame. Let me throw up a couple other indicators. We're going to turn that off. We're going to turn this off. Okay. Yeah, so you can just see, similarly, there's room down here on the blue cloud for a touch around 129, and there's room up into the top of the red cloud at about 157. Let me throw in a couple other indicators. I haven't spent a ton of time looking at this chart. Let's see here. We obviously had a sell signal. We've yet to print a buy signal. Overall, it's bullish. You may not be able to see those moving averages, but they're all beneath the current price. And here's the thing that I would just challenge some of you guys to understand. I know you can't see them, but the moving averages are all beneath 124 as far as the 50, 100, and 200. This thing would absolutely be in a full-blown bullish state if it came all the way down and bounced off 124. And so you can't be, you can't be panicking when you're in a stock that's been running bullish for a year and a half. It's above the 50, the 100, and 200. And if you're not expecting any pullback whatsoever, it's unrealistic. I didn't pull up the 20 EMA because I didn't have it on that chart, but it looked to me like it came back and is sitting on top of the 20 EMA. And so it's like I said, it's postured bullishly towards earnings tomorrow, but there's really not much of an indicator. If you were to go off of the simple concept of buy-sell signals, it's sitting under a sell signal, but that makes sense because of how hot it had gotten to the upside. It's pulled back. If the news is good, it'll print another buy signal. We'll retest the top. I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to say join if you want more of what we're doing here, me and Tim. Tim, I'm going to put our Lux videos that we did over the last 3 weeks. I'm going to put them in the Discord here soon. And you are preparing some other micro Lux classes that you prepared that I'm going to launch. There's going to be a Lux only channel on the Stocks with Josh Discord. So I want you guys to make sure to check that out. Appreciate you being a guest. I think your technicals were excellent today, Tim. I think you've helped a lot of people, and I appreciate that. I know you got to get out of here and go take care of your son, I believe, today. Thank you again for being a guest. Guys, hit the like. I didn't get the likes. I didn't ask for the likes, and I didn't get the likes. But at the tail end here, guys, hit that like. You know what the like does for both me and Tim is it shares this content with more people. YouTube says, oh, these guys are doing a pretty good job. It's got engagement, and so we're going to fire this out to more people so we can help more people. Guys, in the Stocks with Josh Discord today, we were making money, and it wasn't that hard. There's risk. We got to learn how to communicate and get all the details out to you guys that you need. But we are making money every day this week with trade signals, and we're going to continue to do it. And we got Tim here helping us. I think it's working out pretty good. Thank you again, Tim. Peace and blessings, guys. Hit that like and subscribe and join the fam. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.